The next chart is kind of a summary of what I just said, slightly differently positioned to focus on defining well-being. Like I said, the OECD, they have positioned themselves for about 3 years now as the first intergovernmental group that's setting standards for artificial intelligence, in particular when it comes to well-being. Their well-being framework is here on the chart. And basically what is happening is that in having discussions in the past about building technology and products and services within a firm, the conversation has been classically on profit, GDP, consumption, occupational safety, and other kind of value statements that a firm would make, maybe increasing, brand customer satisfaction and things like that. Now, what folks are trying to do is to say when it comes to not just living, because well-being methodologies not necessarily is applied to situations that have nothing to do with technology. For example, well-being has been applied by folks that have been asked to go into hospitals and figure out why they have such attrition with doctors and nurses, and how they could maybe create a better work environment using well-being methodology. And it had nothing to do with technology. Since the introduction of artificial intelligence, now groups like the IEEE, who created a methodology called, or did a huge study called Ethically Aligned Design, of which there is a link to that study in the back of the stack, they now are adopting well-being as part of the methodology for systems design. And so the focus is on psychological ramifications, social and environmental, and well-being, is not an abstract thing. And when I started getting into this and working with folks at the IEEE, I was really surprised to find out that, studying well-being goes back to the 5th, 6th century BC. It's now an established discipline in universities and by scientists. It's used more and more. You've heard about sustainability. ESGs in banks are now using sustainability measures that are tied to human well-being, like environmental, social justice, ethical sourcing of goods, which is work that we do at Athena. And using, well-being is being used by these international and national institutions. And it's increasingly becoming backed by corporate America financial sectors. And the focus is on the triple bottom line, whereas in the past, the focus was primarily on profit. Now, much more emphasis on people and planet and quality of life. And it is the IEEE, they have what's called a 7000 series standard for ethically aligned design. And I highly recommend folks that are interested take a look at it, because they have about 10 or 12 different standards within there, not just well-being, things like algorithmic accountability and bias and other things, where they've done quite a lot of work to help designers like yourself pull this stuff into your organizations and make it real. The IEEE has a standards group, and the next step with that standards group, which we're participating in the work that they're doing, is creating a well-being assessment methodology and identifying some of the better practices to embed into organizations, and the creation of some new narratives so we can create some new storytelling around these better practices. And I mention that here today because this audience, you are the first people, sorry, my light keeps going out. You are the first people who are actually engaging in this discussion with us anyway, at a richer level as we go into systems design and get your feedback on where you think well-being and human rights and things like that, and where they should be discussed as you talk about your systems engineering practices.